Hey, Roman.
Yeah.
Hey, your dad is very sick.
Kim, let's start talking about the moment when we start hearing the news along with the kids. Shiv gets calls from Tom a couple of times, and she turns it down because things aren't great between the two of them. But then I think it's Roman that gets the call from Tom, right?
Yeah.
And then Tom starts trying to explain what's going on. Now, what was your reaction when Tom was trying to explain what was happening?
It was so darkly funny that all these people are like trying to say he's dead or he's dying, but with as many words as possible, none of which are dead or dying. Like all the euphemisms and the bumbling through how to like explain what's happening, the poor cell reception on a moving private jet, like oh my god, it was so yeah.
Who's in charge? What is going on right now?
It became really intense really quickly for me because I've been in situations before where like you think your day's going one way and then all of a sudden someone's telling you that someone has died or is sick or like something has happened, and the way that they captured like the surrealness of that moment and like all of the minutes following were just like whew, yeah, it just really grabbed me and didn't let go.
Because everything about the rest of the episode is like very normal.
Mr. Scrooge just happened to be a huge wealth creator. They don't mention that in Mr. Dickens' books, do they?
Funny quips are going to be said. Logan's doing another business deal, and then all of a sudden, everything stops. Time slows down, and you know that everything is going to be never going to be the same after this. You know, and yeah, the disorganization. Great point about using more words to say something than is necessary. Really well put. I think I saw you say in the show notes you thought it might have been a hoax at some point, right? Like,
I did.
The thought occurred to me because I think the way they shot it is you don't see Logan, you don't see like Brian Cox's face until the very end. So they show people like laboring over his body. His body and his face are just like barely off of camera for most of the episode.
Yeah.
And it did put in my mind, is this some kind of elaborate ruse?
Right.
That Logan is pulling on his children, which is was very possible based on what we know. But I was like, then like my mind started thinking like, to what end? Like, what would be the purpose of this? You know, why it's just to like F with them? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You know, and then as time goes on, it becomes clear like, oh, this is really happening.
Mom?
Dad, it's a joke.
I was like, yeah, same thing where I was like, is this a hoax? Is someone just trying to see what the kids, like what their reaction would be right now if their father died, given how poorly the last conversation they had with him was? But then, yeah, I quickly lost any sight of why that would be happening, and it settled in that like it was as soon as Kendall started like trying to say goodbye to him.
It's okay.
Well, and then Kendall going to Shiv was like when I started like fully crying, and then I think I was just crying for the next like 10 minutes openly as like everything kept unfolding. Because yeah,
I mean, each of the kids basically gets an opportunity to talk to Logan through the phone, right? Roman starts, and every single one of these conversations is painful. In a moment like this, you hear how people really feel about you, I think. And these might be the last words your dad ever hears from you. And you have the opportunity to set things right and say whatever you didn't have the courage to say or whatever. All the performances were very strong. I honestly, of the three, I thought Roman's was my favorite when he's like on the phone with his dad, because he starts trying to say stuff and then he realizes, you see Roman's brain breaking, like he just can't communicate in the Hallmark style, I've always loved you, Dad, blah, blah. Like it's just so against every fiber of his being, he can't do it. And he says like, F it, I can't do it. And he like hands it to get you. And that's just so amazing to see a performance like that, where you're watching it, not just an actor play a guy who's in pain, but you're watching like a character fail to reconcile two parts of himself with each other.
You did a good job.
No,
I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that. I can't.
The part that wants to say the right thing and the part that has no experience saying the right thing. And that has experienced great trauma at the hands of this person who he needs to say goodbye to.
Yeah. I have something that I felt like I really recognized in Roman in this episode was like something I sometimes call like obligatory closeness. But like
Mhm.
the when you have a sense that someone's expecting you to say something in a certain way or react
Mhm.
in a certain tone, and like there are times when I do that because I feel like I have the space and the capacity to, and it's okay if that's not really how I'm authentically feeling in the moment. And then there are times where it's very hard for me to like follow something like that. And so yeah, exactly. I feel like you could watch Roman realizing that all the things that he like would instinctively say of like I like later in the episode when he's like, I don't think I said I love you, and I was like, I don't think you did either, buddy.
I feel like I didn't. Did I say I loved him?
Like it didn't,
Yeah.
that wasn't what was coming out of him in that moment because of everything else that he feels about Logan. And yeah, it was really brutal to watch them struggle through.
There's no excuses for me, but I.
Like, do I give him absolution?
Yeah.
Do I give him forgiveness? Do I give him sentimentality? Or do I like hold my whatever emotional boundary in this moment and
Right.
say
Do I
like,
or do I give them the truth? And you can see each of the kids do their version of it, right?
mm-hmm.
And I think Kendall
Except
says
Connor.
like except Connor.
Oh fuck! I need to get Connor. We need to tell him. Can you do it again?
I like the moment when they tell Connor. Connor has this moment where he says, I never got the chance to make him proud of me, which is just heartbreaking.
I never got the chance to make him proud of me. He's dead.
And then like there's a moment where like Roman almost collapses and like grabs Connor's arm and to kind of like comfort him. That was really powerful as well.
Like they don't even know how to just hug each other when this is happening. The three kids kind of do a group hug at one point, which was also a really touching moment.
So they go to the airport, right? And they need to do a statement. Shiv gets a statement by herself, takes only one question, where she reaffirms that they're going to be sticking around.
We intend to shepherd it through whatever its future may be, but we'll be there. We intend to be there.
What did you think of this whole sequence?
I really had no idea what to expect from their statement. Solid, seemed kind of like neutral, like respected his legacy, et cetera, and then when she was like, we're not going to take any questions, and then of course the question of like, well, what's your involvement like with the company, like she couldn't resist responding to that one to basically assert like, yes, we'll be around. And then I just loved her walking into Tom's arms, kind of like the way that she like leaned her head on his chest and like let herself be comforted for like just a second, and then like remembered who she's touching and all the terrible things that have happened between them and how bad everything is, and like gets that like angry Shiv look on her face again. Just really beautiful moment that felt very relatable in the way that like sometimes grief brings you unexpectedly closer to someone who you might have been feeling out of sorts with before, but then it's really messy when all of your shared history is still there. And so yeah, seeing what happened, seeing how Shiv and Tom's relationship either continues to dissolve on course or somehow gets amicable again will be really interesting to me.
I thought that was a powerful moment. I think there's a moment when Shiv kind of invites Tom to go with her, right?
Hey, Tom? Can you?
But I couldn't help but think that it's actually really heartbreaking what happens between the two of them overall, because it's so bad. That's why Shiv doesn't get to talk with Logan, or like she kept turning down the phone call. But if her relationship with Tom had been better, she would have accepted it, and then maybe had a chance to talk with her dad before he passed.
And that's the thing, is like you could see in real time how each of the kids was going to have a regret about how that situation happened. Like Roman's going to regret that he didn't say I love you, and that the last thing he really did say was all of the terrible things on that voicemail. Shiv's going to regret not picking up that phone call from Tom. All of them are probably going to regret the conversation that they had the night before, and that's how they left things.
I think one of the takeaways from this episode is death could come for any one of us at any time. And you never know when it's going to happen, and if it does, you never want to leave things on bad terms with people, because you might end up in this terrible situation where they're having these painful, awkward phone calls 12 hours after they just tried to sabotage their dad at the karaoke bar. You know, like, you never want to leave things like that because you just don't know what's going to happen. Hey everyone, David Chen here. Thank you so much for watching that video from Decoding TV. If you want to get an audio version of the show, all you got to do is go to podcast.decodingtv.com. And if you want to support what we do, get ad-free episodes of the podcast and also bonus episodes of the podcast, go to decodingtv.com and become a paid member. Of course, you can also like and subscribe for more. We appreciate it. Thanks. See you later.